But when I first started, I would work and work and work and see no results. Months and years would go by before I started realizing this. And it wasn't because the vision was off. It was because sometimes I chose not to do those same things. But when I decided to show up every day, every week, every month, it seems like whatever I have in my mind, it's only a matter of time before I'm able to create it. All right. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Mindset Mastery. I am your host, AZ Araujo, and I'm glad you could join me today. Go ahead and please check in. I have a great message to share with you today. Just very inspired through the entire weekend. There was a lot of anticipation for my first big money brokerage event. Some of you may have heard it or even seen ads going through your Facebook and Instagram feeds. And I got to tell you, there was a lot of preparation in order to get this event up and running. And I got to tell you, I can't be more happy with the end result. It was mind-blowing for the participants. It was so motivating for me to be able to see, and inspirational for me to be able to see where I started from back in 2014 when I decided that AZ and Associates was going to be a real brokerage and not just a team brokerage, but a real brokerage that could impact thousands of people's lives. And I'm living that mission. I'm living that purpose. And I got to tell you, I'm fired up. I have so much appreciation, so much inspiration. I know I'm changing lives and I'm helping other leaders do the same. And it's something that I do here with AZ and Associates with you all, right? I've never come into here telling you that I am your savior. I never say that. I never said that I am going to make things easier for you. I come with the premise that, I will do the very things that I expect you to do, and that is lead. I expect you to lead your clients. I expect you to lead your business, yourself, your family into what we all want, which is prosperity and abundance. We all want that, and that's why we're here, and I think that's why we're so tightly knitted and bonded. And it's because we all want the same things. We want to prosper in all aspects of our lives, not just one segment of it. We have the responsibility and the stewardship to lead. And that was the message for the big money brokerage participants. And I had them flying in from all parts of the United States. We had people from Detroit, Philadelphia, Vermont, California, just coast to coast. And it felt great. And, I brought them in and we did, and this is one of the things that I almost didn't incorporate. Part of the game is to master ourselves, right? And also to have a release mechanism so that we can choose to do the right things. And we all know that life is all about choices. And I almost made my one choice that I think could have completely derailed this whole experience. Just because logistically, we just didn't know if it was going to fit and if it was going to fit other people's views on this. And that was to work out first thing in the morning. Work out, right? They're going to a business conference, a business workshop. And I started second guessing my progress. I started second guessing my own habits, which was maybe we can bypass this and just dive right in. And listen, I'm so glad that I didn't omit that. And it was just a thought that happened for just a second, but it was a thought. And many of our thoughts that do pop in from time to time, we pay too much attention to it, right? We know we're supposed to do certain things. We know we're supposed to master the basics on a day in and day out process. But it's when these little questions come up that we throw our momentum out the window. And so that thought did cross my mind, but I decided to just go ahead and just incorporate it in there without really paying attention to their feelings. They're flying down here. They're spending 2 full days with me because they're wanting to know what I do. So for me to remove that altogether would have shortchanged them. I think it would have not really had the impact that I was hoping for. So that Thursday morning at 6:30 a.m., we had a Sprinter bus go and pick them up. We gave them the VIP experience all the way through. And we had them picked up and they made us at a gym that we rented out. And I got to tell you, this really just set the tone for the rest of the day. They knew that this was like no other. And I've been to hundreds. I could literally count hundreds of conferences and workshops and masterminds over my 18-year career. And, a lot of these masterminds are just all smoke and mirrors. They're just scratching the surface. So I wanted to make this experience like something they've never experienced before. And based on the testimonials that we got, it was like nothing they've ever experienced before. And I feel so good and appreciative of that because we went based on the habits that we do, the habits that we teach, the habits that we preach on a daily basis. And what we don't understand, and I think that really reinforced that there's not many places like this that really want you to prosper of who you are in all aspects of your life. I want you to prosper. I want your family to prosper. I want you to live a long and healthy lifestyle. I want you to dominate life. But that requires mastery of doing the same things. And this mastery allowed me to over-deliver at a level where I just sat back in a high. I couldn't even go to sleep on Thursday evening, the first night of the big money brokerage event. I couldn't even go to, I was on this adrenaline high, plus so much appreciation, gratitude. I just sat back like just reflecting. And thanking God. And it really felt like I was on this time travel. Like I was time traveling. Some of the things that they described is something that I went through 5 years ago, 7 years ago. So I was just full of emotion. I was just full of gratitude. Of how far I've come. And it feels good. It feels good to step into faith. Faith in yourself. That it's not going to be easy, but you will overcome. Faith in the vision. That getting up every morning, even when there's not results, is still there. And I just sat back and went through this emotional roller coaster of I can't believe I've manifested this. I can't believe I've created this. Everything that I wish I had, I have. Everything that I wish I had, I have. And it is my duty, it is my responsibility to share upon others that they too can create this. A life that is fulfilled, a life that is purpose-driven. And it's filling my heart and soul. And just to see the faces of these individuals that came down, I know it's going to have a ripple effect. Some of these brokerages have 70 plus agents and they're in chaos right now. And they need the leader to step up. You need to step up for the amount of people that you impact on a daily basis. And this is a stewardship. This is a responsibility to do these things and not to deviate. And many times I wanted to deviate through this process. I almost questioned myself. And I felt my fair share of obstacles and just so many problems that came up that made me question myself. Even when I launched the big money brokerage event, I put hours. I've been planning this since November. I've been thinking about this for the last 2 years. I planned it since November, and every time I just kept pushing it back because I wasn't just quite ready. And you're never going to be ready. You just have to make a decision, a single-minded decision that now is the time, and that is the only thing. Things will come together. But it's that indecision that allows us and gives us permission to just push it back and push it back to a point where it never becomes a reality. This almost didn't become a reality. And it's amazing. Like, when you put yourself in a certain mindset, like all of a sudden a teacher appears, or teachings appear. And this weekend, I just started reading this book called The Conversations with God. It's by Neil Donald Walsh. And I happened to read an excerpt that falls right in line with how critical mastery is, how critical manifesting the vision within your head is to you. We're creators. We were created to create by our Creator. And that is in alignment with how we operate life and how fulfilling it can be. And I'm going to read you a couple sections of this, and I'll tie it all back in. So it's a conversation, and what I love about this book is that it's a regular person just talking to God. And this is not about you being a believer or not, but just stay with me here, okay? Just stay with me here. And there was a part of this where he just starts questioning why he doesn't have the things that he wants in life. And it is a conversation between him and God. And what I love about it, again, is that God is paraphrased. So there's a voice actually coming through. So I'll go ahead and read, and I hope this makes sense to you all. He says, God starts saying in this book, he says, you keep changing your mind. Remember, life is an ongoing process of creation. You are creating your reality every minute. The decision you make today is often not the choice you make tomorrow. Yet, here is a secret of all masters. Keep choosing the same thing. And I'm going to read that again, and I really need you to process it and maybe write down whatever comes to mind. The decision you make today is often not the choice you make tomorrow. Yet, here is a secret of all masters. Keep choosing the same thing. And as I start thinking about this, it's like everything we do here is to condition you through the rewards of life and also the heartaches and tragedies that life brings our way. You got to understand that choosing the right thing builds the capacity you need to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. It's when we deviate that what we want in our minds, that what we want in our vision doesn't come into fruition because we've deviated from the things that we said we were going to do. And as I have conversations with different agents, and I know some agents right now within our organization are going through very tough moments, very tragic moments right now. And I received a couple phone calls this weekend, and I pain for you. And my hope is always this: whether you're winning and getting everything in life, or whether life is presenting its fair share of problems and obstacles for you to overcome. Every time I hear one of these stories, I always hope that they've conditioned themselves enough to just keep going. Because I know what's at stake. I know how your family could be at stake, your marriage, the relationship with your kids. Your overall sense of purpose is at stake. Your business is at stake. So whenever I hear these stories from our agents, my first thought is, I hope they just keep going. And I hope they've conditioned themselves to be able to do just that. And this is the way we got to look at even when there's big rewards in life, when there's reasons to celebrate, when your life completely changes because now you're able to afford things you couldn't afford before, buy the things you could go to vacations, you could do all the things you couldn't before. My hope and my prayer is that you just keep going. Because in those two moments is when things start creating the exact opposite of what we don't want. Is when we're too far in the light and not see that there's still a lot to go through. Or when we're too stuck in the dark, not realizing the light is around the corner. These are reasons why we have to continue to go. And that's what the whole point of mastery is. Mastery is just being able to do the same thing over and over and over again. That is, unless you change your mind. And everything will come together when you have a single-minded purpose. And it says, then it really will be. What you ask really will be, because what you wish is my command. Remember, my cherished one, your desires are my desire. Your will is my will. That is, unless you change your mind. Over and over until your will is made. Over and over until your will is made manifest in your reality. For some, that could take years. For some, months. For others, weeks. For those approaching mastery, days, hours, or even minutes. For master's creation is instantaneous. So you got to understand we're all on different paths of this. But I've realized once I make a decision, like the result, creation is almost instantaneous. But when I first started, I would work and work and work and see no results. Months and years would go by before I started realizing this. And it wasn't because the vision was off. It was because sometimes I chose not to do those same things. But when I decided to show up every day, every week, every month, it seems like whatever I have in my mind, it's only a matter of time before I'm able to create it. And we all have a different path. And we all have different levels of commitment. But what I'm saying is mastery is when you can see it and almost instantaneously create it. It's an amazing thing. But it's when we compare ourselves to others that it makes the process a little bit more difficult. But again, for some that may take years, for others, months, and others, even weeks. But for those approaching mastery, days, hours, and even minutes. For master's creation, it's instantaneous. So we can measure how predictable our actions are, how consistent our actions are when we want something and actually see the result. So if it's taking weeks, months, and years, then we just have to go back. Are we mastering the day-to-day? Doing the same dull, monotonous things day in and day out, regardless of the outcome, regardless of the tragedy, regardless of whatever comes our way. You can tell you are on your way with mastery when you see the gap closing between willing and experiencing. I want you to write this down. I am going to blow this up and put it on my phone and maybe on the next 12-week target book. You can tell you are on your way to mastery when you see the gap closing between willing and experiencing. I'm getting good because of the things I'm willing to do on a daily basis. And the impact is getting greater. It's not just about me and my family. It's beyond that. It's greater than that. It's no longer about my emotions or thoughts or feelings. It's beyond that. We all got to truly believe that we're doing God's work. You want to get up? You don't feel like getting up? It's beyond that. Change your mind all you want, yet remember that with each change of mind comes a change in the direction of the whole universe. When you make up your mind about something, you set the universe in motion. Forces beyond your ability to comprehend, far more subtle and complex than you can imagine, are engaged in a process, the intricate dynamics of which you are only just now beginning to understand. Sometimes I sit back, really, with the inability to comprehend. Not realizing how things just worked out just right, perfectly. But that was all of the part of the plan because that's what I was thinking about 4 months ago, 5 months ago, 10 years ago. It's not that it was perfect. It was only a matter of time. These forces and this process are all part of the extraordinary web of interactive energies which comprise the entirety of an existence which you can call life itself. Energy is all around us. Even our thoughts have energy. And energy create our reality. Here's an excerpt. Nothing is difficult for me, but you might be making things very difficult for yourself. Therefore, be one mind and of a single purpose about a thing, and don't take your mind off of it until you have produced it in reality. Keep focused, stay centered. That is what is meant by being single-minded. If you choose something, choose it with all of your might, with all of your heart. Don't be faint-hearted. Keep going, keep moving forward, be determined. It's been said, it's been written, and there's no secret sauce to this. It's simple. And it is your choice today to do the simple, what seems monotonous things. You do that over weeks, months, years, things appear like you can't comprehend, but it's all part of the plan. And I got to tell you, this week, just having a training here that Thursday, here, and having agents, our own agents, go above and beyond to just talk about their experiences with A's and Associates just made me so proud. And it warmed my heart to the core. I walked them around, and there were several people that just took the time to talk and express the gratitude they are of being in an environment like this. And this is where I'm going to invite you. If you've been a little distant lately, I need you to plug back in. I need you to lean in. There's something special here. And I promise, if that is what you want in your mind, this is the only environment that'll help you get there, because we're all on the same track. We're all on the same bus, on the same train. So mastery is never dull. Remember, it can seem dull, but those that have mastered it are never dull. Guys, I want to thank you. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Mindset Mastery. I do appreciate you all. Continue to plug in, continue to lean in, and I will talk to you soon. Have a great day. Bye now. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Badass Agents Podcast, brought to you by AZ & Associates and Do the Work Coaching and Consulting. You can watch this and other episodes by subscribing to our channel on YouTube or by visiting us directly at badassagents.com. And of course, you can listen to this episode and many others on your preferred podcast provider.